Hey, today is Sunday, May 19th, 2019. Taking a look at the S&P 500 and ES as we get ready to trade May week 4. And we're leading into the Memorial Day holiday. And at the middle of the week this week, we have the Fed minutes coming out from the meeting that happened back here on May 1st, the day that we printed our all-time high. But we failed to meet with an all-time high that had been made overnight coming into this session that had been made on ES at 2961.25. Okay, so we still have something to resolve upstairs here, meeting that level in the regular trading hours along with ES, and then decide from there whether the market has made a top or not. So that's why I keep trying to look at a trade that sort of revolves around maybe buying 29.50 calls or buying something that's in the $5 window that will really pay off up here when we resolve that level. And who knows, maybe that resolving that level is going to be this week, because the same factor that rolled us over and stopped us from making that high, was things that the Fed said. But maybe when we look at the minutes inside of that meeting, we're going to hear what we needed to hear, see what we needed to see, and the market will move on up here. Also, the whole fact is that this is already decided. The S&P is going to move the way that the players want the S&P to move. And all we're trying to do is anticipate and try and take their lead to see what's been going on underneath the surface. And as you can see, we sold off and we had this huge gap down last Sunday night in the futures. And this gap down open on Monday, and we flushed all the way down to this big low that took us down to 28.01. Okay, now 28.01.43. And then buyers came in, and we closed quite a bit off of like 10 points off of that low, leaving a respectable buying tail on the daily candle. But then the next day we gapped up open, and then we held on to those levels and those lows the following day for the most part. And then we finally broke out up above this level that had been holding us down around 28.50, 28.51 or so on the S&P. We gapped up open on Thursday up above that level, and then we finally filled in this gap to Friday's close, and we even took a look above Friday's high. But then the sellers came in, because clearly there's a force in the market that was selling short against 2,900, and they were having none of that. So they were selling puts short probably against 2,800 down here, and they were selling calls short against 2,900 from up here. So they kept 2,800. So what we need to do is judge where they are taking us to end the month of May. Are they taking us up above 2860 and back up here 100 points, or are they keeping us below 2,900 and pushing us back down to test 2,800 one more time, and we just sort of have a repeat performance of this week where we trade in this sort of encapsulated space of being topped out below 2,900 and have a bottom that holds us higher above 2,800? Or are we going to break down below 2,800 and sell off? Here is evidence on the side of the bears that this bearish cross, which in my opinion is what this rally was all about on Thursday, was to help defend off this cross. And though they followed through on Friday, whatever was going on at the end of the day, they really sold this off hard and broke down and closed us below this simple moving average combo. That's not bullish. But at the same time, what's coming up underneath the surface here is that our 100-day is about to do a cross up to the 200-day. And this is a really powerful situation. It's much more powerful than these little sell signals. These are more intraday. This is most certainly an intraday sell signal that lasts about a week or two. This is more powerful. This is something that can continue and follow through and make the selling continue. But this is really powerful. This is the kind of thing that can propel us to 3,000 and above if the situation is right when this cross happens. And I estimate this cross, at least on the S&P, is scheduled to go through on Wednesday. when we get the Fed minutes. We were trading all the way up here. I would think that if we are at least up here by 29.20 or so, to maybe into this area here where we sold off, and then we tried to bounce here on Friday of that week. If we maybe get back up to where we opened on this day here, this was at 29.29, and our low on the day of the Fed minutes and our close was at 29.23. So that whole area, 29.23 to 29.30 or so, right in here in the midst of this gap that we have that runs from the close on the 7th, from the high on the 7th to the close on the 6th. So we get up into this gap, we get the Fed minutes, and then we make a decision from there. We either roll over or we progress on. Okay? One other thing I want to point out that's kind of interesting too, when we go on over to the ES daily chart, I never show this because I've always felt that you do your daily analysis on the S&P. You don't do daily analysis on ES. But using a daily chart, which I believe in and always have believed in, and that's why I always post this roadmap. This is sort of my thing, is studying what's really going on by way of the daily time frame. I guess you can apply that to ES. I always have felt that with ES, you don't really look at a daily chart because it's a contract that expires every 90 days and it trades around the clock. So it's sort of moves are exaggerated. Things happen quicker on ES. Not to say that that it moves ahead. It's just that it's got its own set of analysis that's a little bit separate from what's going on in the S&P 500. But anyway, when we look at the daily chart here, we see this 28.60.25 level. And this is something that I've been kind of watching for a couple of weeks. This is where we came up to a high at the end of March on the 21st. We closed on this level, and then we reversed it out and opened on that level the following session. So this was like literally from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock or to 6 o'clock on between 2 different days. And then we, on the same day, and then we flushed down from there, we consolidated sideways, and then we moved on up. But ever since we regained this level on April 1st, the start of the quarter, we had never opened below or closed below that level during the regular trading hours, and not until this sell-off that occurred between the 10th and the 13th. So this was the gap down open that happened last Sunday night. So this 28.60.25 level on ES is a really great tell. And when we look in a little bit closer, we see that on Thursday we came up here and we closed above it finally after having 3 closes in a row below it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Finally on Thursday we closed above it, and then on Friday we just squeaked in that close above that 28.60.25 level. So maybe this is a good clue here, that as long as, whether we open above or below this is one thing, but if we can gain traction above it during the course of the session, I think that that's a good bullish tell for the morning. If we open below it Sunday night and trade down here, that's fine, but let's see where we're at 8:30 in the morning. Do we finally, 9:30 in the morning when we're talking Eastern time. It's 8:30 in the morning for me here in Chicago. But if we open above this 28.60 level tomorrow on ES, I think that is a vote for the bulls in a very strong way. Because as you can see, we haven't pulled off an open above that since back here before this gap down on the China tariffs thing happened last Sunday night. So let's see how that all works out for us. Okay, so anyway, I hope that this video got you up to speed on where we are at. Basically, watch this 28.60 level tonight on ES. If we trade down below it, obviously, we're watching to see if overnight they want to really take us to task and test these lows that have been made. But where are we by the open? What does the 3 a.m. crew do who come in to trade Europe? Are we going to trade up and build on this bounce that we had made on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of last week? Or are we going to build on this selling that we saw during the course of the day that really got ugly and a little out of hand after lunchtime on Friday. Okay. Anyway, hope this helps you out. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see what happens when futures open tonight.